Noah has a swimming session where he meets a lady who takes an interest in him. When he's done, he heads home to his wife, who is just waking up, and starts kissing her back, caressing her while she lies face down. She feels there isn't enough time for intimacy, but soon it's Helen taking his clothes off and vice versa. He slips off his pants and, in no time, slides inside her, prompting her to moan loudly. As things heat up, their daughter screams her name from afar, putting them off. Later that same day, he's packing for the trip when Martin voices his displeasure about going to his grandpa's place, but Noah disagrees. Martin would rather go to league camp, but since he hasn't improved his grades as agreed, he can't go. Trevor, another son, is urged by his father to pick a book for the trip, and he chooses his dad's book, the one not suitable for kids, so their mom stops him. Everyone is ready for the trip except Martin, who is nowhere to be found. Noah goes back inside to search and finds Martin hanging with a rope around his neck. He panics, gets the boy down, only for Martin to giggle and reveal it was just a prank he saw online. Noah scolds him, but Martin is surprised his dad isn't proud of the stunt. The boy says he dislikes Bruce, his grandpa, and Noah admits he does too, but tells him to pretend anyway and secure an inheritance from the old man's wealth. They get back in the car, concealing the prank, and kickstart the trip. On the road, they stop for lunch, but things turn chaotic as Whitney shows her rebellious streak, hinting at being high from smoking a lot in recent months. The waitress comes to take their order and is kind to everyone, but a little too kind and touchy with Noah. Meanwhile, Stacy starts choking on a marble, but Noah doesn't notice at first, since his eyes are fixed on the waitress's body. He finally helps Stacy dislodge it, and as the chaos resumes, the waitress bends down to pick the marble, and Noah can't help but notice her skirt rising up. A little later, he steps inside to look for Martin, but runs into the waitress, who introduces herself as Allison, and they share a strange moment. Even after the family gets back in the car, Noah sneaks inside again, this time just to tip Allison. They reach their destination, and after the greetings, Noah speaks with the grandpa Bruce, who criticizes him for the way he wrote his first book. All the while, a voice questions Noah about Allison, how they met, and how much contact they've had. Later that night, after Trevor interrupts their lovemaking, Noah goes out for some midnight air and finds Allison at the beach. She asks him to walk her home, and though he refuses at first, he eventually agrees. At her place, she shows him the outdoor shower and insists he tries it. Even when she undresses, he declines and walks away. Soon after, he hears an argument, goes back, and finds her with a man who suddenly takes her from behind, pulling her into a disturbing scene where she signals Noah not to intervene. Back at home, after a cut in the kitchen that she patches with a bandage, Allison goes to bed with Cole. They have sex, but she is detached, and afterward, she wonders how many times they've done it, maybe 10,000. Their marriage has long been strained, with Allison often melancholic. In the interrogation room, she's questioned about Noah, but before she can answer, the scene shifts back to the day Noah's family arrived. The cafe owner's son teases her about sleeping together years ago, and soon after, Noah's family enters. In her version of events, she helps Stacy by knocking her back so the marble pops out, then retreats to the bathroom in panic. It is Noah who later comes to thank her, and that's when the introductions happen. Later, she breaks down at her son, Gabriel Lockhart's grave, before heading to the family dinner where she plays gypsy cards with another woman. The notable card is Lucifer, foreshadowing wild temptation. After glimpses of her strained relationship, she goes to the beach again, where Noah finds her, offers her a smoke, and thanks her. He walks her home, and this time, he tries out the outdoor shower before leaving. Cole later returns with Jocelyn, and though things seem calm at first, tension rises again until he forcefully takes her. In the interrogation room, Allison finally reveals she has a son. Noah gives his account in the interrogation room, claiming he had no idea Allison was married when they first met, and every incident he experienced with her replays in his mind. Later, Noah is in the bathroom when Helen comes in, warm and persuasive, trying to convince him to come downstairs and join the others, but he prefers some time alone. Helen thinks he's no longer as fun as he used to be, while Noah believes it's simply a different game now, convinced it is Helen who enjoys having more fun than before. They head out to the market again, and as Noah walks with the youngest, he sees Allison. They exchange pleasantries, but Noah is more concerned with how she's doing after what he witnessed earlier. She insists she's fine, even refusing to keep the extra change after he offers more than the cost of what he bought. On the way home, they stop by a stable to enroll Martin, and as they make inquiries, it turns out Cole will train the boy, which unsettles Noah, who even considers pulling out of the arrangement without explanation. But Helen insists their son must learn to handle a horse. Having lived most of his adult life without parents, and with a sister who ran off with a man, it has mostly been him and Helen, with her parents doing their best to support them. At the party, Whitney shows up with her friend in skimpy clothes, but Noah stops them, telling his daughter to come back only when she's dressed properly, while Helen brings troubling news that her father's old mistress has had the audacity to attend, leaving her upset at the thought of her mother possibly seeing the woman. As Noah hugs her for comfort, he notices Allison serving tables, unable to take his eyes off her. Bruce, his son-in-law, and Harry chat briefly before the old man brings up Noah's new book, and there isn't much to discuss since Noah explains it's still in the research stage. As Helen joins them, clinging to her husband, Allison serves Noah a whiskey, and there's an awkward exchange, Allison smiling knowingly while Noah looks distracted for a moment. Helen notices the flirtation and calls it out, but Bruce, trying to lighten the mood, jokes by calling Allison a whore and Noah a schmuck, which angers Noah, who storms out. He finds Allison, and while showing her a quieter spot to smoke, they end up at the beach, where they talk about their marriages. Allison doesn't mind the boundaries blurring, caresses his hand, and even plants a kiss on his cheek. Back in the interrogation room, Noah insists that afterward, he returned to his wife that night, and he grows confused as to why the questioning is framed the way it is, since the victim took an entirely different route. Yet at the beach gate, he remembers he kissed Allison on the lips. Then it shifts to Allison's account. She takes a cooler of fish to Caleb, her brother-in-law, and after some sharp words between them, she leaves, wondering if she'll ever see Noah again. Will, as usual, gives her a hard time, pressing her even after she gently reminds him of his responsibilities, and later at the cafe, he teases her crudely about her and Cole's intimacy. That evening, Allison sits with another waitress who shares that her boyfriend wants a threesome, and even describes experimenting with different kinds of intimacy, but Allison only makes a face, clearly alien to such talk and with nothing to add. At the market, Noah approaches her stall to buy something, and can't help but admit how much he wanted to see and speak to her again. And later that night, Allison can hardly sleep, with Mary-Kate, married into the Lockhart family like herself, doing most of the talking and even correcting Allison's scattered thoughts. After Noah leaves, Mary-Kate notices the interest and can tell he is drawn to one of them. After Whitney flirts with one of the Coles at the ranch, Mrs. Lockhart takes a moment to thank Allison for being so sweet to her husband, offering her a place in the big house whenever she tries for another child, and the two share a hug. But Allison is weighed down, holding herself back from exploding and breaking the Lockharts' hearts. At the party, Margaret, Bruce's wife, offers Allison money to spill a drink on her husband, and Allison approaches, but Noah intercepts, taking the drink himself and smiling sheepishly. After Allison foils Whitney's attempt to sneak away with Scott Lockhart, she and Noah end up at the beach, talking about their marriages, Allison admitting her disdain for Cole, and Noah confessing he might have waited longer before marrying. Having thought about each other for some time, they finally begin kissing passionately. Back in the interrogation room, Allison insists the authorities aren't looking at the right angle regarding what happened to the victim. After an early morning swim, Noah can't avoid Bruce's beckoning for a quick chat, and Bruce, knowing Noah has been struggling with his book, shares a personal story to encourage him. When Noah steps inside, he wakes Helen with some lovemaking. That day, everyone is busy. Whitney is on her way out with Grandma Margaret. Noah has a meeting with Harry. Helen has a Skype call, and the only one left to look after the kids is Grandpa Bruce. Noah meets Harry, who wants an update on his book, but Noah has little to share. He explains it's about a married man having an affair with a young woman who ends up dead, admitting he hasn't assigned a motive to the crime yet. Harry is still intrigued and tells him to send the manuscript once the opening is ready so he can consider publishing it. Later, Noah heads to the cafe but is told by a waitress that Allison isn't there. He says he only came to thank her for something, but to avoid suspicion, he ends up buying clothes against his will and leaves as soon as Oscar arrives. At the library, Allison shows up, and the two slip into a corner to talk. Noah says he wants to keep his marriage and family as close-knit as possible, which Allison respects and even finds comforting. She offers to help him with his book but promises not to call. And as she walks away, Noah can't stop watching the sway of her hips, so he calls out to her as a friend and walks her to her next stop. They end up at the fish market by the river, where Allison introduces him to Will. Suddenly, Scott barges in with a brazen attitude and even invites himself to the town hall dinner since Cole is making ribs. After Scott leaves, Allison corners Noah on the way out and kisses him without pause, but Noah pulls back and reminds her of their decision to avoid such things. At dinner, Whitney vents about her rough day. The mother of the kids she babysat gave her no breathing space, while the father wouldn't stop staring at her, something Bruce oddly praises him for, and soon the table turns chaotic with everyone talking over each other. Later, Margaret tells Whitney how Noah and Helen met and how she initially opposed their marriage, even suggesting they've only managed because of her financial support. This irritates Noah, but Margaret dismisses his feelings. He leaves for the town hall meeting, but before he can settle, Oscar greets him and even refers to Allison as his girl. In a quieter spot, Noah admits to Allison how much he thinks about her, and she confesses she feels the same. They begin kissing until Noah stops her, but as she turns to leave, he pulls her back, grabs her, and tells her that if anything happens, it will be on his terms. He sits her on his lap, unbuckles his belt, and slides inside her, drawing loud moans. Back home, while Noah enjoys his beautiful family, Detective Jeffries continues his questioning. Noah tries to deflect, pointing the officer toward Oscar instead, hinting at the long-standing rivalry between the Hodges family and the Lockharts. Now, from Allison's point of view, with Detective Jeffries, she insists she and Noah only kissed and never had a full-blown affair. Later, she shares a sweet moment with Cole that ends a little sour when he holds back from saying something she was expecting. She then heads to the hospital in hopes of landing a job, where Cassandra is kind and helpful, but after what Allison sees in just a short while, she drops the access card and leaves. She goes back to working for Oscar, who keeps teasing and taunting her while showing flashes of affection. One day, she finds a note from Noah, prompting her to go to the library to meet him, and the two kiss right away. They step out together, and in a secluded corner, Noah pins her against a wall and kisses her, but Allison pushes him away when someone spots them from afar. She tells him the island is her home, and she can't risk losing her marriage over a fling, so they should stop whatever they're doing and go back to their families, perhaps staying just as friends. At the town hall meeting, Oscar presents his plan to build an entertainment center, but Cole objects, warning it would strip the town of its essence as a summer retreat. He brings up monuments and personal memories, even the death and burial of his son, which moves the crowd and halts Oscar's plans. Backstage, Oscar confronts Cole, and tensions almost erupt into a brawl between the two families. That night, Noah texts Allison, but after a few exchanges, she turns to Cole and kisses him passionately, sparking a hot and intimate session. After some interrogation and a trip on the ferry, Noah and Allison arrive at Block Island and decide to shop for new clothes, since Noah spilled a drink on his. Allison picks up something for herself too, and when she steps into the changing room to try it on, she beckons Noah inside. The two begin kissing passionately. She unbuckles his belt, and the mood quickly shifts toward a steamy encounter, until a sudden knock at the door forces them to stop. Their sightseeing continues after ice cream as they visit a lighthouse, then wander through another part of town while talking. Noah shares pieces of his past, explaining how his mother was sick for most of his high school years, leaving him little time to socialize. He slept whenever he wasn't caring for her, and by the time he got to college, he still hadn't developed much experience with relationships. It was during his first year that he met and fell in love with Helen. Allison, in turn, talks about her grandmother, now in a nursing home with Alzheimer's, and about her mother, who drifts in and out of her life without stability. Later, inside a building, Noah admits that he has never cheated on his wife, and Allison says the same. Still, Noah wonders aloud why she's suddenly willing to do this with him. Allison isn't sure how to explain it, but she knows one thing: she really likes him. His phone rings for the second time, and it's Helen, calling about Margaret's strange behavior. Noah can't offer much help since he's far away, and when he returns to the table, Allison is upset. Frustrated, she storms out. With the Long Island ferry already gone, she boards one to Connecticut instead, planning to find her way home from there. Meanwhile, Noah tours a museum and finds items connected to Allison's background. At a nearby store, he's told his wife just left, and when he turns around, Allison is there. Their romance picks up immediately as they kiss and then head to a hotel. They get a room, and though Noah is jittery, Allison is comfortable with what's about to happen. They undress one another and begin kissing. From Allison's viewpoint, Noah thrusts into her with her back to the bed as they moan, the intensity rising until he lifts her, pins her against the wall, and continues moving hard and fast. He turns her around, pressing her front to the wall, and climaxes quickly. Allison enjoys the moment, but when she glances at her reflection in the mirror, it doesn't show the same satisfaction. With Noah asleep, she starts to panic, dressing to leave. He wakes, which only heightens her nerves, and they end up walking to a cliffside, continuing their talk, speaking about family and confessing how impossible it feels to keep their hands off each other. Back in the room, they fall into another round of kissing and undressing. Noah trails kisses from her chest down to her thighs, but when he notices a cut, he asks about it. Allison shuts down instantly, turns off, and refuses to go further. When Noah presses, she lashes out, calling him a cheat and disloyal to his wife. Frustrated, he kicks a cupboard and breaks it, but with Allison's help, he sneaks in a replacement from another room. They rush for the ferry to avoid missing it. On board, Allison apologizes for her earlier reaction, but insists they should end whatever this is, reminding him he'll return to his normal life after summer. She refuses to be used as a passing distraction. The words sting Noah, who protests that she needs him, but their conversation spirals into another fight, until he storms off. When the ferry docks, Allison struggles with her bicycle until Noah comes back to help, apologizing and offering her a ride home. On the drive, Allison opens up about her son, who drowned 2 years ago at the age of 4. Since then, she hasn't been herself, and at times she kicks her thigh to feel some measure of release. They arrive at Allison's house. With Cole away, Noah takes the opportunity to kiss her again, and this time, they let it consume them. They end up in bed, kissing and making love with raw intensity until they collapse in satisfaction. Allison is woken up by Cole to watch him surf, but she wants to sleep longer since she hasn't rested well. When he leaves, she gets up and dresses, but Cole returns, saying he forgot something. He's shocked to see her already dressed, but says nothing, just stares, and she stares back, silent. Cole leaves, and she takes her bicycle to Phoebe's, where Noah joins her. Noah arrives, and they hit the ground running, taking off their clothes and teasing each other. He goes down on her, stimulating her with his tongue, and soon she's too excited to continue, asking him to stop and moaning. As they cuddle, her phone beeps. It's the people from the old people's home. Athena, her mom, is there altering medication arrangements, so Allison dresses and leaves. Athena hugs her, complaining that the old woman doesn't recognize anyone anymore, including her. But when they enter her ward and the old woman sees her grandchild, she lights up, talking and calling her own daughter Athena a stranger. She only recognizes Shelley as her daughter, and though Athena explains, it doesn't help. The nurse brings medicine, and the old woman revolts, but Allison calms her enough to take it. Athena wants to change the meds, citing her expertise as a healer, causing disagreement. When Athena insists on taking over, Allison won't accept it. At the cafe, Oscar arrives and taunts Allison, cleverly finding out she arrived late for work. Scott briefly enters and leaves, while Oscar also mentions Allison taking care of Phoebe's house, creating an awkward moment. Detective Jeffries continues questioning Allison, and she gives her account. At Phoebe's, Allison and Noah talk about many things, including Noah promising to take her to another island for fun. After a moment of kissing, Athena shows up, surprising Allison. The three chat, and once Noah leaves, Athena tells Allison she knows about her affair with Noah, but has nothing against her, and promises to support her, marking Allison's brightest moment since her son passed. Allison takes her mom to the Lockhart's house, where Athena helps Mary Kate with her discomfort. At dinner, talk turns to a realtor's offer of $30 million for the ranch. Some want the place sold and the money shared, but Cole opposes it, citing generations of family history. Cherry Lockhart gives Allison his wedding ring, thanking her for caring for his son. As they show it to everyone, Athena criticizes Allison for sticking to a family she believes enslaved her. Cole fires back, calling her a runaway mom, and the exchange ends when Allison takes her mother away. As she drives, Athena warns her she's making a mistake choosing her husband's family. The detective questions Allison about Scott and the events of a certain wedding, with Scott central to the questioning. Noah lies and heads to meet Allison at their spot. He jumps on her, and as he goes down on her, his phone beeps. Allison urges him to check it, but he's focused on pleasing her. After more beeps and realizing Whitney's in trouble, he rushes out. On the way, he gets a flat tire and meets Oscar, who stays until the mechanic arrives. At home, Whitney is accused of using harsh words on Jody and nearly did something unthinkable. Noah drills her, but she insists she's not guilty. When Helen checks her phone, Whitney throws it into the pool, and Noah loses it. Whitney and her grandparents oppose Noah's suggestion that she apologize, citing legal concerns and constant scrutiny over money. Bruce reminds Noah he's used part of their money for family bills, vexing him, so he storms out. Helen has always suggested therapy for Whitney, but Noah objects. She proposes going back to Brooklyn to avoid conflict. Oscar appears, riling Noah with suspicions in front of Helen, leading to a scuffle. Noah takes Whitney to apologize to Jody, and she sincerely promises to do better. Back home, Noah and Helen plan initiatives for watching their kids. Helen suggests he take time off and rely on her dad's money, but he objects. They fight, and he storms out. Shortly after, he arrives at Phoebe's door, enters, and begins making love to Allison. Midway, he asks her to elope with him, and she agrees. Max, a former high school friend, arrives and is greeted by Noah, but first, he sniffs a white powder despite warnings from the driver. They head to the bar, and Max thanks Helen in absentia for letting him have drinks with Noah. As they talk about Max's divorce, Allison shows up, acting as if meeting Noah for the first time, which makes him smile. Both men, tipsy, step out to leave, but Max wants to talk more to Allison. Noah forces him into a taxi, arguing she must have gone. Allison appears, and they kiss in public before heading to a room and making love intensely. In the shower, Noah talks about returning a few times after the holiday to spend more time with her. Afterward, Allison leaves to avoid missing Cole, but Noah tails her secretly. She visits Will and picks up a blue container. Noah returns to Helen, who asks about Max. He mutters a few words and dozes off. Later, after Martin causes a scare and they find out he's at the ranch, Noah asks Whitney where he could possibly get white powder for his book, and she laughs at him. Back at home, Helen asks Noah why he's not intimate with her, which breaks him. He apologizes, blaming their 4 kids, and assures her all is fine. She makes him promise to give her a good time later. Noah and his family gather at the cafe, and Max arrives. He notices Allison and tries to talk to her, but Noah tells him she's taken. Stacy needs to pee, so Helen asks Noah to take her, and he decides to go as well. Allison arrives, and she and Noah kiss, but the child finishes, and she knocks, requiring Noah to escort her back. Inside, Noah sorts the bill and meets Oscar, apologizing for the incident at Bruce's home. Helen blocks him, revealing that Max offered to take them golfing. Noah agrees to drive Max's car while they take his. He talks over drinks with Oscar, and Allison leaves work. He tells Oscar about his romance book with a tragic ending, but Scott walks in demanding a word. Oscar refuses. Scott takes cash behind the counter and even punches Oscar outside when he tries to stop him. Oscar calls someone, reporting shady business in a blue container disguised as a normal transaction, explaining the Lockharts are running a ring and using the ranch as a front, instructing him to include it in his book with names. He goes to the ranch to tell Allison, who stays silent as the dealers leave. Seeing Martin there breaks him, but he returns to his wife and kisses her passionately, going down on her in a short but intense session. Allison's viewpoint. After the shower, she checks the clock and leaves, going to the dockyard where a new man hands her a cooler. She delivers it to Caleb and finds a woman nearly unconscious. She reunites with Cole and confirms Will wasn't at the dockyard. Martin spends the night at the Lockharts, and after teasing Noah, Helen calls to confirm Martin is at the ranch. Noah waits at Phoebe's, questioning Allison about the Lockharts' shady dealings. She says she's stuck in it, but they've all resolved to accept the outcome, noting the ranch can't be sold and must remain operational. She returns to the ranch, where family members pack for a trip, leaving Allison and Caleb behind. Oscar knocks and enters, irritating Caleb, and a fight breaks out. Oscar reveals he faked the call and confronts Allison about her affair, asking why she's cheating with a married man. With the house filled with Lockharts and Oscar gone, Allison and Cole argue. She wants the business stopped and the ranch sold, but Cole says it isn't practical. Martin arrives with bad news. One of the horses has escaped, vexing Cole. Allison takes Martin home, where she meets Noah, who tells her their affair must end, especially since the holiday ends in a week. Whitney is in therapy with her parents, and she mentions she thinks Noah is miserable and that her mom is having an affair with Max. The therapist asks them to step out for a while and then tells them they need some couples work. On the drive home, Noah suggests returning to Brooklyn, and Helen agrees. At home they begin packing, but Whitney refuses to leave, saying it's Sunday, and that's when they plan to go. She insists she will leave only then, and no one can change her mind. Shortly after, Martin arrives, asking to be driven to the ranch to say goodbye. At the ranch, the boy bids them farewell while Allison shows up, but Noah cannot stomach her presence and asks them to leave immediately. Back at home, Bruce and Margaret are arguing, with Bruce angry at a Vanity Fair article suggesting Margaret contributed to his books without acknowledgement. Their rancor continues while the rest of the family watches. Noah goes to the cafe and leaves a note on Allison's bicycle just as Oscar drives in. He threatens to report the affair to his wife but offers a way out: $10,000 in a week. Noah protests that he doesn't have the money, and Oscar gives him 7 days to find it. Back home, Noah's excitement is boundless, but that night when he and Helen try to be intimate, he barely gets a hard-on. They blame stress and tiredness from the day. Noah visits Max, revealing his cheating with a woman and that someone is blackmailing him. He asks for Max's help with the money, and while writing the check, Max advises him never to tell his wife. During one of his runs, Noah slumps and hits the ground. At the hospital with Helen, they discuss possible causes of his fall until the doctor confirms it was a panic attack, nothing heart-related. Relieved, Noah feels he must confess. He tells Helen he cheated throughout their 8-week stay at her parents' house. She is livid and asks who it was, but before he can answer, Helen already knows. It was the island waitress. He apologizes, but Helen remains dumbfounded that her husband could stoop so low. At home with the kids, they are happy to see Noah hale and hearty. They hug him warmly, but Helen keeps her distance. Noah explains he was weighed down by the failing book and the fear of failure, but he assures her he loves her. He calls Oscar to confirm he told Helen instead, then shreds the check. Allison's viewpoint, Helen finally quits, but Oscar refuses to pay her last check, so she takes 2 boxes and leaves. At home, Allison overhears the Lockhart brothers planning to settle with Oscar, turn him into an ally, and help him build his entertainment center on the island. Cole's mother is cooking with Allison and tells her a story before asking who Noah is. She has seen the note on the bicycle and immediately knows Allison is cheating on her son. She tells Allison to end it immediately and make sure it doesn't reach Cole, calling it selfish to tell him. She asks to see the paper, then burns it. At Oscar's, after a handshake, Scott punches him in the stomach, and the Lockharts ask how Oscar knew about the call. Oscar admits it's Noah and her, which angers the family, and they attack Oscar. Cole does not know how to react, but accepts Allison's plan to go away for a few days. She meets a friend in the city who finds Helen's store address, and that morning, they visit the store. Helen thanks Allison for saving Stacy and leaves. Allison passes Noah's home and sees him cozy with his family. She reaches her friend's place and meets Cole. The white powder is gone, and Cole asks who Allison has been sleeping with to help recover it. Allison stalls at first, but finally admits it's Noah, disappointing Cole. They take a walk, and midway Cole breaks down, sharing his struggles since his father died and then losing his son. Allison consoles him. They return to Long Island, but one of the Lockharts has been hospitalized after returning the white powder to the dealers and being badly beaten. Cole immediately suggests selling the ranch to end the chaos, despite his mother's objections. While the detective investigates Noah's movements, creating more trouble in the case, Cole misses his wife and asks for a fresh start, making love to her. After an enlightening session with his students where he talked about Romeo and Juliet and what their love looks like, Noah heads to the restaurant where Helen is waiting. Helen's store is getting featured in a magazine, and to celebrate her, Noah hands her a jewelry box. But after appreciating it, she says the gift is too expensive and must be returned. To Noah's surprise, she insists and stands by it. Noah heads to Martin's room to talk to him about not passing his algebra exams well. Martin complains that he can't hear well on calls, and when Noah asks him to move further, he's too shy to join the girls at the front of the class. For him, the only solution is to join Whitney in a private school, so Noah promises to talk to Bruce for help, but only after the next semester. With Whitney acting funny, and Helen's store needing a facelift for the magazine, she wonders how she'll attend the ceremony where her father will be awarded. As they lay in bed, Helen had an outburst from nowhere, and it all stemmed from the fact that he had messed up. Noah and Helen are having a therapy session, and the issue of Noah representing the family on the island comes up, but Helen vehemently disagrees. Noah takes the chance to talk her into forgiving him fully, reiterating that he's been perfect all along and probably just had to make this one mistake. At the island, Bruce receives the award while Noah is seated in the hall. At the dinner, Allison sees him and serves him wine. There's a mild exchange, with both of them knowing that nothing can happen. Bruce walks up to Noah and takes him aside to have a talk. He knows about his affair with someone and just wants to confirm if it was the waitress. Noah takes offense at certain things the old man says, but he goes on to make his point, explaining that when he had an affair with a student and had to stop, he channeled that energy into writing his book, and for the first and last time, he was nominated for the Pulitzer Prize. As everyone leaves the hall, Noah finds Allison in the walkway, and she's disturbed. Her grandma has just had a heart attack, and she needs assistance getting to the hospital. He takes her there, but then goes back to Bruce, who's having a hard time with his knee. He wants to know if Bruce still thought about his after their affair, and Bruce affirms that he did. The same evening, Noah drives to the hospital and assists Allison, driving her back at the end of the evening. Detective Jeffries enters the hall where Noah is to give his speech after the success of his new book, comparing the evidence at hand with the things written in the book. Allison's viewpoint. The table is set, and as they eat, they talk about what they'll do with their share of the money when they sell the ranch. But what concerns Cole most is putting the house in order for the potential buyer, ensuring it appears fit to keep and not demolish. Just then, there's a leak, and their mom confesses she must have left the bath running. Cole thinks his mom is getting senile and needs to see a doctor. With the cold getting too much, Cole and Allison get into bed and begin kissing, until he begins bouncing on top of her. Athena tells her that her grandma has had a heart attack, so she bails there and finds a man she asks to leave. The conversation with her mom about consenting to a DNR isn't fruitful, as Athena also leaves to get a cup of tea. It's Bruce's award party, and when Allison finds out, she tries to leave, but the boss is understaffed, so she sits back. And as she sits behind her desk, she sees Noah walk in and is awestruck, even forgetting to attend to guests. Later that evening, Noah and Allison sit outside the hall and talk. As Noah steps back inside, she receives a call about her grandma's health, and Noah takes her there. Thinking he's gone, Noah shows up in the midst of the argument between Allison and Athena. Noah talks to Allison about consenting to a DNR, calling it an act of compassion for someone as old as her grandma. While Allison hopes she and Athena can plan the funeral, Athena is already geared up to take her usual trip, saying that after losing her mom, she needs a better place to heal. Noah drops Allison at home, and before she alights from the car, they both reveal that they love each other. Detective Jeffries enters a memorial service, and it's Scott's. He sits behind and watches Allison carefully. After a while, he goes over to the end, the motel where Noah purportedly lodged, to find out if he ever logged in and whether there was a cancellation, and indeed, Noah did book a reservation that was canceled. The detective now knows what to do. Allison visits Brooklyn again to meet Noah, and after trying to check into a hotel but encountering an outrageous price, Noah does the unthinkable and takes Allison to his home against her wishes. He assures her there's no way on earth he'll sleep with her on his matrimonial bed, but after a few minutes, he is banging Allison and professing sincere love for her on that very bed, even promising to move out soon and secure a space for both of them to kickstart a new life. After making love, Allison steps into the kitchen and mistakenly breaks a glass, and while clearing it, she finds a pregnancy test strip that confirms a pregnancy, which instantly turns her mood sour. Noah takes Allison to a studio he could use as his office and a temporary home for any time she comes around. But Allison isn't pleased. In fact, she thinks Noah is only stalling and will never leave his wife for her, so she storms out. Allison is at the bar when Oscar shows up, giving unsolicited news that he has just met with investors for his entertainment center. He questions Allison about her affair with Noah, but from the little chat, it's obvious she's heartbroken for certain reasons. In no time after another shot, Allison awkwardly asks Oscar if he wants a piece of her. Of course Oscar wants that, but he's scared of Cole. Allison begins kissing him, zipping his trousers and caressing his groin, and in a short moment, they're in a room, with Allison riding Oscar. She wakes up to Oscar making a meal, but she just wants an aspirin and to go home to her husband. She vents about getting a cut from the sale of the ranch and moving away from the island as far as possible, but Oscar bursts her bubble. The ranch has been refinanced for years, and if any sale happens, the Lockharts will only get a small amount of money. Since it's public record, Oscar hands her copies of his claim. Allison returns home to Cole's mom, and when she presents her findings, the old woman initially denies them, but after being shown proof, she admits and says she's working on it. Mrs. Lockhart drops the bombshell that she won't sanction the sale of the ranch and will inform her children in due time. Allison thinks it's selfish, but the old woman turns the tables, telling Allison how she never let anyone tell her what to do about her late son, even when she was in the wrong, and now she wants to inform someone else. She then calls Allison unprintable names. On her way out, Allison parks the car and cuts herself on her thigh, landing at the hospital. She wants to know the events of that day from someone else's view, but is asked to share her own, and when she does, she starts crying profusely, blaming herself for her son's passing. She heads to the ocean and begins strolling into the waves, but she sees images of her son calling out to her from the shore, prompting her to walk back out of the water. Allison goes back home and packs up for a trip, and just then, Cole enters. She tells him to get information about the ranch from her mom and informs him she won't be staying there any longer. She leaves, and while waiting for transport, Cole shows up to confirm that the ranch is truly worthless and that he's decided to go wherever she goes. From Noah's viewpoint, Detective Jeffries calls Noah in for questioning about his car, as Scott was hit by a vehicle. Noah is making love to Allison in his home, and as they promise each other never to leave, she's done. And as Noah cleans up, He sees a pregnancy strip in the trash, indicating someone is pregnant, so he keeps it. After Allison leaves and his family returns, he asks his wife about the pregnancy, and after she denies it, they discover it's Whitney who is pregnant. When asked, she confirms it, but she has scheduled an appointment to terminate it. She apologizes but refuses to reveal who impregnated her. Noah knows the hospital and goes there to make inquiries, and while waiting, Scott shows up. Noah accosts him and begins throwing punches, but a security guard helps quell the altercation. Noah goes to meet Max to tell him about Whitney's predicament. Max laughs, and soon the matter shifts to Noah and Allison. Max thinks it might be true love, and if it is, she'll wait. But the question is whether it's worth it. Max offers one piece of advice: leave it alone. Noah returns home, and after eavesdropping on Helen and Whitney's conversation, he calls Helen inside and breaks the news that he's leaving her. Helen is heartbroken and begins hurling his things at him, demanding that he leave, and then he finds someone else's bra. It's obvious Allison was there, and this infuriates Helen even more as she shoves him out. Noah is on the train and records a voicemail for Allison, telling her he's left his wife and will be meeting her soon. He arrives at the train meeting point and finds Allison and Cole waiting there. Noah is having the best time of his life. He leaves the swimming pool for a lady who greets him and informs him that he's engaged. Noting that he's separated, he takes the lady home and they begin making love on the spot, and while on top of her, they make formal introductions. Another day brings another woman. Noah goes to his former home to check on the kids, and while the little ones are happy to see him, Helen isn't. He heads to basketball practice to see Martin, but the boy isn't pleased to have him around. At his workplace, he makes passes at a female teacher, whom he later has sex with in a corner of the facility. The next day, he's called into the office for a talk with the principal. Noah is sent to a center for his disorderly manner, where he meets people who have faults and are meant to better themselves. He takes the time to write his book instead, and soon, Harry has good news for him. His book is great and he wants to publish it. He even offers a substantial amount of money and promises to ensure the book sells well. Harry's attractive worker passes by, and the two men talk about her. Mid-conversation, Harry finds out Noah is separated and asks if he misses his wife, to which Noah says he doesn't miss her yet. Detective Jeffries is finished questioning Noah about his car, and before leaving he sees the mechanic who repaired it when Noah had a flat tire. Helen takes him home and shows him the recording where he assaulted Scott, also telling him that Margaret has hired a private investigator who will use everything against him in court. Noah is vexed at the potential plan to shield the kids from him, but Helen doesn't want that. She doesn't even want a divorce. All she wants is to have Noah home. She begins crying, and then falls on Noah's chest while he consoles her. They begin kissing immediately, and in no time, Noah flips Helen, bends her over, and begins having sex with her from behind. Noah meets the mechanic and bribes him not to mention that he repaired his car anytime the detective questions him. Noah and Helen meet Whitney and tell her that they'll be dropping charges against Scott, but she refuses vehemently, saying it was consensual. She also reminds her mother of the vile things she said about her dad and tells him that he can't just breeze in and out of her life. They return to their room and spend the night peacefully. After Noah wakes up to a text that Whitney is at their place, there's a disagreement about who should go get her, whether it should be Margaret, Helen, or Noah. But Margaret doesn't think Noah is fit for such a task given his recent moves, which can be attributed to his failings as a father. There's a back and forth between them, and in all this, Martin is still displeased with his dad. They arrive at the Lockhart's residence, and even though they say Scott isn't around, Mrs. Lockhart tries to broker peace, but Whitney doesn't want to leave. Helen just wants her child to come along. Mrs. Lockhart insists that Scott didn't mean any harm but promises that she'll ensure her son never goes near her daughter again. Helen is even upset at Allison for staring at her husband. Helen takes her daughter and leaves, but before Noah can leave through the door, he sees Scott, who, before noticing Noah's presence, asks his mom if she sent Whitney away. This vexes Noah, so he runs after Scott, shoving him to the ground and landing some punches, but Cole's gunshot stops him. Allison's story. Allison has lunch with Athena and Dennis, while Athena talks about a man she saw who might be suitable for Allison. Dennis thinks Allison needs time away from sex to cleanse herself from the toxic experiences she's had in the previous months. Allison heads to Phoebe's place and meets her there. They talk about her marriage breakup and the fling she had with Noah. The next morning, Mary-Kate is around, and after initial pleasantries and revealing that they lost the house, she makes her displeasure known to Allison for walking out on her family. She goes to her own place and finds Cole there. Cole still believes they can fix their marriage and get some therapy for their son's loss, but Allison is tired. She says she wants other things. And besides, seeing Cole is like seeing their son all over again and again. Allison blames Cole for not watching over their son the day he drowned, which vexes him because he claims that if she had taken the child to the hospital, instead of doing what she thought, the child might still be alive. As Cole sends her away, Mary Kate shows up with news that Whitney is at the Lockhart's house. Detective Jeffries talks to the mechanic, who hands over a flash drive containing proof that Noah bribed him to refrain from giving information that he repaired Noah's car. They go to the house, and Whitney reveals that Scott is responsible for her pregnancy and that her parents are suing. The Lockharts decide to invite both Helen and Noah over to talk things out, but Allison has to send the message, as it's the only way Helen will come along. Helen and Noah arrive and try to take their child, but Cole shows up with a gun, ready to shoot someone. He doesn't expect Noah to act as a custodian of morals after having slept with his wife. He threatens to shoot Noah and, after a scuffle, threatens to shoot himself, but Allison begs him, and he goes back inside, sad. Everyone leaves, but Noah stays back. Allison also stays, and the two share a long, warm hug. Noah and Allison are at home, kicking and moving strongly. They're talking about Noah's success when the detective shows up and places Noah under arrest.